Good morning to my faithful remnant here in the sanctuary and at home as well. Welcome to First Parish Unitarian Universalist of Chelmsford. We are a covenantal community gathered for worship, mutual care, faith formation through spiritual learning and ethical discernment, and in service to the common good. I'd like to extend a special welcome to anyone who's visiting us for the first time. We're glad you're here today, and you can learn more or contact us via our website, uuchelmsford.org. I'm Reverend Ellen Spiro, and I serve as the parish minister. And joining me in leading our service today is Steve Zaki, our music director. Aggie Brennan is going to offer our chalice lighting, and Neil Harmon is bravely leading us through our covenant this morning. Our worship services are multi-platform, so people are participating and attending in the sanctuary and from home. If you're attending from home, Joan Coyne is our online chat host, and if you're joining us in the sanctuary, Rose Lehrer is our greeter, and Doug Snow and Rhonda Shane are our ushers. However you are here, gathered with us for worship, I am so glad. And I just invite us to take a moment to say hello to each other here, and there, and at home, and everywhere. And I know there are people here, really. We will have social hour, and we have an online option, and also in the vestry after the service. Today's online social hour will be hosted by Elliot Mayer, and the Zoom link will be in the online chat and in a slide at the end of the service. And Brian Snow is hosting in the vestry this morning, so many thanks. But I invite us to center for worship now, and let Steve play the whole piece.
Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers here and online and around the world. I'd also like to wish a happy day to all the village who helps us mothers raise our children, because we know we can't do it alone. And without the support and love of all those people around us, it would be a trying task. So I would like to read a poem by Carrie Newcomer from her book called Until Now, New Poems. And in light of the trying times we're in, and I was thinking about this, aren't times always trying? But in these particular trying times, she wrote a poem called What You Won't Hear on Cable News. I want to tell you what you won't hear on cable news about a young woman in the airport who was so exhausted and harried by hours of delay and wrangling an overtired toddler that when her little boy finally and completely melted down and planted himself on the floor, she sat down beside him and started to cry. I want to tell you about 5 random women who immediately flowed in from all directions. One pulled out a little toy from her purse, one offered a snack or to go get something to drink, one who called the child honey, wiped his nose with a tissue, and offered another one to the grateful mother, and the one who asked if it was all right to walk hand in hand with the child right there at the gate, close by, and always in sight. I want to tell you about a man who makes soup and bread and then gives it away, and the nurse who held his hand when he was breathless and afraid. I want to tell you about my neighbor who drives around all winter with snow chains on his car, just in case someone needs help. I want to tell you about all the people I meet who keep extending themselves and braving the risk of being told it's none of your business, who offer a hand or a bit of encouragement or a couple of bucks, who will walk a fussy child around the gate because it is the kind thing to do. I want to tell you the world still turns every single day on the axis of goodness and unexpected grace that shows up without fanfare and often where we least expect to find it. Happy Mother's Day.
Please join me in our covenant. We, first members of First Parish, covenant together to sustain and strengthen our beloved community by honoring and celebrating the spirit of life, nurturing all souls in our search for truth and the sacred, caring and being present to one another in our joys and sorrows, bearing witness through service to justice and peace, and being good stewards of our congregation, our heritage, our Unitarian Universalist principles, and our earth. Nosotros, los miembros de la primera parroquia de Chelmsford, convenimos juntos a sostener y fortalecer nuestra amada comunidad en honorando y celebrando el espíritu de la vida, nutriendo todas almas en búsqueda de la verdad y lo sagrado, cuidar y estar presentes al uno y otro en nuestras alegrías y tristezas, dar testimonio mediante servicio a la justicia y paz, y ser buenos cuidadores de nuestra congregación, nuestra herencia, nuestros principios unitarios, universalistas y la tierra.
Thank you, Neil. So, for our offertory, I'd like us to pause in gratitude for those who nurture and those who take care, whether we know them as mothers or teachers or friends, aunts, uncles, or as Aggie shared with us, strangers who help us along the way. You'll see over there, we have our bowl where we can put offering on your way out if you wish, since we're not passing the plate. But I also have roses. And if you are a mother, or you know of a mother, or you're remembering your mother, or you just need a rose, or you just want a rose, because I am grateful to you, please feel free to take one. So that is my offering to you this day. But as we listen to Steve and take a moment of gratitude for this congregation and for the promises that we make in our covenant, we will gratefully receive thoughts and prayers for our congregation, for our faith, and for our larger world. Thank you for your time, your talent, and your treasure. Thank you, Steve. Make your mom proud. When we got this new hymnal and I saw that one of my favorite songs, We Are, by Dr. Yusei Barnwell, was in it, I was so excited. I first heard it performed in her a cappella group, Sweet Honey in the Rock. And for our For All Ages today, I'm going to invite us to watch her and members of the General Assembly, Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly 2020 Virtual Choir sing this piece. And there's some slides that follow, and I want you to look for an intern, former intern you might know in that, who's also singing, by the way. Please enjoy.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Who we are, who for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Who we are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Who we are. We are one. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage.
I've always thought of love as soft-spoken, gentle, kind, calm, unruffled and unruffling. As Paul famously wrote in his first letter to the congregation in Corinth, chapter 13, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. I especially thought this would be true of maternal love, parental love. And then I had my first child. Surprise, right? I was taken aback by the fierceness of the love that could well up in me around this baby. A love with a ferocious intensity of a mother lion protecting her cub, not this calm, grounded, Mother Earth kind of love I had imagined. And if I'm honest, it scared me. It scared me that I could love this fiercely. I thought about what somebody a friend from seminary told me when I was pregnant, that to have a child is an act of prophetic hope, to trust that the world is worth living for, worth fighting for, worth our deepest commitment to nurturing peace and healing and beauty. Love is all the things Paul described, and I recognize that for love to rejoice in truth, to bear, believe, hope, and endure all things, sometimes love must challenge, speak hard truths, take a stand, change the world. Sometimes love must embody a fierce spirit to protect the heart of what matters most, to protect love itself. And one does not need to be a parent to experience this. All of us are capable of fierce love. All of us are capable of acts of prophetic hope. Today, a small team of First Parishers is participating in the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute's fundraising Mother's Day Walk for Peace in Dorchester. The Peace Institute provides support for families of homicide victims and teaches peaceful alternatives to violence. It was founded by Tina Cherry, whose son Louis was murdered on his way home from a church choir practice. And Tina took her fierce love and grief and shaped it into a healing balm to offer other parents, other families, anyone and everyone who lost a loved one to a violent death. She extended it to teaching her larger community alternatives to violence. She even extended it to helping those who had committed violent offenses reintegrate into the community. Tina is truly a mother of courage who inspired others to be parents and siblings and grandparents and children and neighbors and strangers of courage, makers of peace, fierce lovers of life in the face of violence, racism, and poverty. Like many of you, I imagine, I've been following the leak of the draft decision on the challenge to Roe v. Wade, which suggests that the Supreme Court will overturn that ruling. I'm not surprised. Any of us who've been paying attention could see this coming for years. But I am sad and I am angry because the work of generations of women is about to be set back 50 years, maybe more. This is not just about access to abortion, but to birth control and health care and the right to make decisions about one's own body and one's own family and one's own life. And because the rights of women correlate with the rights of others, the rights of children, the rights of LGBTQIA+ individuals and their families, the rights of workers and immigrants. This decision could lead to similar setbacks for the rights of others who are not white or male or straight or rich. In fact, it's already happened with the voting rights, after all. So even as my heart is breaking in this, I feel gratitude for the fierce love of the women and the men who supported them in the generation before me, who marched and protested and advocated to be treated as equals, to be empowered to make health care and reproductive decisions over our own bodies. Because of them, I have been able to make decisions about my body and my health. And because of that, I was able to make decisions with my partner, not just about our family, but about my professional life. I could not have become a minister, followed my call, my life and my spirit's vocation, without the courage of the fierce love of that generation, without the courage of the fierce love of some of you seated in this sanctuary or attending from home. parents of courage and siblings of love, children of great visions and seekers of truth and keepers of faith and wisdom of ages. Fierce in your love because it required sacrifice and it required courage. And while there is a group Go ahead. All right, I think he's done. And while there's a group of wealthy, powerful Americans trying to take us back to the 1950s, when men were men and women were women and people of color knew their place, they can't, because we're not going back. We love our ancestors and our children too fiercely. Fierce love is fueling the resistance to Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Russia has the weapons, it has the power to destroy towns and cities, to kill men and women and children alike without compunction. Hate is also fierce, and its fierceness is destructive and cruel. It denies humanity rather than lifts it up. But the Ukrainians do have fierce love on their side, and they are embodying it daily. They are making it harder than Putin envisioned because they fiercely love their land, their homes, their neighbors, their people. They refuse to be erased so easily. And because people around the world are witnessing this fierce love, many have gone to Ukraine to fight and to tend the wounded, while people in the surrounding countries and beyond have opened their homes and their pocketbooks and their resources to help the refugees. To be siblings of mercy and rebuilders of nations, responding to the prayers of grandparents and everyone else at the mercy of tyranny. As I said, We Are is one of my favorite hymns. And Dr. Barnwell also made it into a children's book. And she wrote in the dedication, "This book is dedicated to my ancestors and yours, because at this moment, we are the whole reason they existed. And this book is dedicated to you because you are creating the future. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are." Just take in that image for a moment. Each of us, a morning star rising, an act of prophetic hope made flesh and blood. We are born, B-O-R-N, and born, B-O-R-N-E, on the fierce love of previous generations, the breath of our ancestors. Now, it's our turn to inhale that breath deeply, that spirit, and ground ourselves in it. Draw fierce love and courage, truth and mercy, faith and wisdom from it. Embody that breath, that spirit of God, of life and of love, and sing to the universe who we are, each and every one of us. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to sing hymn 1051, We Are.
It may require a brief explanation. There will be a very short introduction, and then we sing the first two lines twice with a little repeat. And then we go on and sing until basically the 3/4 of the way through the third page, to be precise, and then repeats back to the third line. And then we just sing it through to the end,
peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's truth, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. Back to page 1. Our grandmothers of courage and fathers of time, your daughters of dust and sons of great visions were sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life, and the builders of nations were seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We still got it. I'd like to, thank you very much. I'd like to invite us now to take in the breath of our ancestors into the spirit of life and love and ground ourselves to hold together the joys and sorrows of one another, of those we know and love, and of the world around us. I have 2 joys to share of new life in the world. Marilyn Milano's Zwerkin shares her joy of the arrival of her new grandnephew this morning at 6:30 a.m. Congratulations. And Aggie Brennan would like to announce that on April 24th, her granddaughter Luna Michelle Perry was born. Everyone is happy and healthy, though the new mom and dad are exhausted. So holding these joys spoken, and also joys and sorrows unspoken, memories and hopes. I invite us to open our minds, our hearts, and our spirits to our own source of being. And in the quiet and beautiful space that we create here and in our homes or wherever we are, to bring to mind and to name silently or out loud anyone we are holding this day. Spirit of life and love, whatever brought us here today, of gratitude and grief, of despair or hope, of doubt or faith, or all of the above, let us say, Amen and blessed be. If you would join with me in Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Pray with me. Pray with me. Pray with me. Pray with me, oh my soul. Pray with me. Pray with me. Pray with me. As I release you to enjoy this beautiful day, I leave you with these words by Robert McAfee Brown from Creative Dislocations of Grace. Where beauty is apparent, we are to enjoy it. Where there is beauty hidden, we are to unveil it. Where there is beauty defaced, we are to restore it. Where there is no beauty at all, we are to create it. Go forth in peace. Everybody take a rose.